Hello, you beautiful people. Today I'm making something not so beautiful in a program I've never used before called Blender. What could go wrong? Answer: many things could go wrong. In this hellscape of a program where you can make whatever nightmares you come up with, well, let's just say I made a nightmare. It's a gnome, and I hate gnomes. But it's fitting for my game, Gnome Slayer, which is very indie as it's just me, myself, and I making it and this gnome and the voices in my head. But I started getting to work, trying to make a shape less shapy. And what I mean by that is a constant struggle of this gnome was the fact that it looked too blocky, too structured. It looked like something a third grader made, but hey, at least it's better than a first and second grader, so that is progress in itself. And of course, I did no tutorials because I'm stubborn or stupid, one of the two. So I copy and pasted the feet because I thought they looked pretty dang good. Not something to put on Feet Finder, but hey, progress nonetheless. So I was happy with what I got going on. It kind of looked like a gnome, kind of didn't, but progress, I still. Always with that progress. And then I broke his cone. The cone gnome top is the key part of a gnome, and I broke it. I made it look like he got a very bad haircut from a barber who this gnome will never visit again. Then I realized it looks like the evil troll lady. PTSD moment. So I got rid of that and got to work on making the rest of him, hoping to forget about the hat, not having to touch it. But of course, I had to go back to it at some point. But for now, we're going to give him a beard to hide that Humpty Dumpty body I gave him. And then back to the hat we go because, of course, that giant cone on his head is going to get him hit by traffic. So I try to make it more bendy, less structured. Again, here we go back to the concept of making it look less shapy. The whole point of making it less shapy is that it needs to look realistic. These computer generations are too perfect looking. In real life, you're not going to have a perfect sphere. You're not going to have some perfect cone. Especially if it's a hat, it's going to be bendy, it's going to be floppy, it's going to be fluffy. Like that beard. That beard was very nice, and that's because I added a subdivision modifier, fancy Blender term for y'all. It basically adds a bunch of faces to the object and makes it look more smooth and actually clay like. And then I struggled trying to make a thumb for this gnome, so I said, I'm not going to make any of the other fingers. The thumb is enough. He has little mittens, and they kind of look pretty cute. And then I get this gnome again with that hat. The dang hat was such a struggle, it was unbelievable. And eventually, in my struggle, I proceeded to, well, break it, as you'll soon see here. The creases was nice, the bend over the nose was a nice touch, but the struggle was I was starting to add way too many faces in my process. And now, as you see, it's completely bent out of whack and still way too pointy. So I copy and paste it and try to edit it in a way where I can add a floppy part on top here, and I broke it even more. At this point, I was just clicking so many buttons, overthinking, and I just refused to watch a tutorial. I have no idea why I watched a tutorial. Maybe because if I typed in YouTube how to make a gnome, I got Romeo and Juliet popping up, and I hated that movie. So, filled with rage and complicated overthinking, I was left with this. And I wasn't too happy with it. And I kept going and going and going, clicking more buttons, trying to somehow salvage this irredeemable gnome demon. And eventually I said, screw it. We're going to start over again. But hey, at least it was a nice color red on that hat. And this time I went simple. I actually watched a YouTube tutorial and I threw in some UV spheres, those fancy spheres. And instead of clicking buttons trying to scale and change the X, Y's of all these shapes, I just used elastic grab, this beautiful, glorious, gorgeous tool. I would marry it if it was legal tool to actually mend and mold this sphere. And it was actually like using a piece of clay. It felt like I was actually using Play-Doh. I was back to my kid. Boom, we're back to fourth grader level now. We've promoted. And I actually got a gnome looking object. It actually looked like it's something I could hate in a way that I loved, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And then I added that beard, try to make it bendy, fluffy, actually imperfect. And here I go, just trying to add a hunchback belly, those rounded shoulders, the floppy hat. The floppy hat was very nice. And then I got to color it. And so now we're probably at like sixth grade level of the coloring. I got my coloring book and it's great. Trying to make the hat, the body. And then I realize, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. My gnome does not have clothes. So I tried to struggle with that, tore them apart, tried to color on it, the overalls, because I'm lazy.
Spray on shoes!
But that didn't look right at all. It just looked too flat. So I tried to make 3D objects added onto it, and I started overthinking again, clicking more buttons, and there was no tutorials on how to make overalls for gnomes. So I was on my own here. And well, you could probably guess how well that turned out. So, in this constant struggle of clicking buttons and trying to dress a gnome like a person who does not want to get dressed for school, and I guess that person is a kid, or a gnome in this case, I struggled for many, 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 many hours. And eventually, I just couldn't take it anymore and said, alrighty, we're going to try something else here. And of course, try again more, and I gave up. So I colored him, and I think he actually looks pretty nice overall. I figured, hey, let's give him just different colored sleeves and a shirt that covers his entire body. And we went from the Tin Man on the left here to this blocky, kind of generic looking, very much broken gnome in the middle, to a fluffy, moldy, bendy, punchable, killable gnome on the right with bright, vibrant colors. And I was actually very happy with how this project turned out. Was it hard? Yes. Am I proud how it turned out? Yes. And was it a venture that I hope to never relive? Yes. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, you guys got some laughs out of my suffering, and hopefully, you guys stick around for the long term project Gnome Slayer.